priority put on this support here for Zero, and has a lot to do, I could imagine, with him just having a good time.
They've picked it in the first rotation whenever possible. They're considering their options, Kennen, Jarvan, of course Rek'Sai was a consideration. It was an impressive Rek'Sai performance from Illusion, perhaps a little bit too defensive. We noted that in that first Dragon fight, burrowed out when he could have just sat there and fought when his team was actually in a quite good spot in terms of power. But in this situation, leaving away options, Sejuani's available. We've seen Nunu, that certainly wasn't a good pick for Illusion, at least for his team in that game. A big improvement on the Rek'Sai, definitely going a little bit more defensively focused with the Sejuani, but so powerful on this particular patch. You're looking at the mid game with the ultimate mid-game top laner being selected here in terms of Maokai, and suddenly the Glacial Prison being available also from level 6 onwards. That's a strong middle game duo for YG.
Yeah, and also a fantastic frontline already locked away here for YG, and we'll see whether Royal Club are going to answer with some sort of tank-busting lineup here. Of course, Name, fantastic on a lot of these hyper carries, has been bringing out the Vayne as well, but Insec does have access now to his Jarvan if he wants it. Korn looking at Trundle, we'll see whether that comes through. Of course, already knows that the top laner is going to be that Maokai, unless there's any low shenanigans with a Maokai support. But probably not, and Trundle is going to be the option here for Kola.
I mean, Starhorn Royal Club, they're fighting fire with fire. They see a team where they could logically have gone for the Nidalee jungle and say, okay, this is an engage-heavy lineup, just poke against them. But that's not the Starhorn Royal Club way.
No.
Insec and Illusion, they're the old-school brawling junglers, so that's why they go straight for their fights. Trundle to unsettle some of the resistances, specifically from Prophet, who's going to be playing this Maokai, could be a good pick, but the early laning phase, always difficult for Trundle to navigate until he finishes that Tiamat, so he has some wave-pushing options.
Yeah, and this is very interesting. They've got a Zyra locked in here with the Sivir over the side of YG. I definitely love the Zyra pickup. Of course, hasn't seen a lot of play in the current meta and isn't all that mobile there as well. Can get caught out a little bit, especially against the likes of the Jarvan level 2 gank there in the bottom lane.
So if I actually go to my memory banks, I believe Yansa used to be a big Zyra mid player back in 2013 in the LPL, so now transitioning to the support role. To me, it's probably going to be a support Zyra, but there's been people talking about the fact that Zyra is quite powerful in the mid lane even on this patch. An Ahri matchup doesn't sound like a favorable one, though, so I'm expecting the bottom lane. Going to be quite a lot of pushing if you max the Q and go with the Sivir and just mow down the lanes, but they do have a flexible choice. It is a flex pick Zyra.
Yeah, we'll see whether that's going to be locked away. It's going to be the Vladimir Hovered at here. Definitely is going to be sort of pushing that towards the Yansa Zyra there towards the bottom side of the map. They are going to have a lot of harass and push potential. Of course, the little plants coming through, able to do a lot of work to the minions and as well, a lot of zoning work against the enemy bottom lane.
I mean, from level 2 onwards, we're talking about the Boomerang Blade, the Ricochet, and then, as you mentioned, the Q from Zyra means they're pushing if they want it is almost instant in the bottom lane. The harassment, if they're ever able to force a zone, might be considerable. Is this what we've come to, the Kennen support versus the Zyra support? I mean, the answer here is a resounding yes.
It is, and it's sort of death passive versus death passive here as well, with Zyra and Kog'Maw being locked away from Name. And Name back on our hyper carry as well, has tried 3 different carries so far, and it's like he's moving up. You've got the sort of super early game Urgot, you've got the mid game focused Lucian, and now you've got the late game focused Kog'Maw. We'll see how it goes, but it is going to be Trundle versus Maokai here in this top lane, and this is going to be a fun one.
And I feel like the Kog'Maw's going to be pretty secure. You've got the Trundle Pillar of Ice as a potential terrain you can create. Insect's going to throw in the Cataclysm, probably hopefully not help the Kog'Maw. That's if he doesn't want to help the Kog'Maw by trapping him in there. Ahri's probably going to be fighting in the front line, but can do consistent damage from the back line. The laning matchup for Kog'Maw is just fine against Sivir. Doesn't quite have the lane pushing in the early lane, so might be pushed in consistently, but gets to a point where the harass comes through. But what I like about Kog'Maw is pairing him with this Kennen. When it was top lane Kennen, we talked about the fact, get the Zhonyas, get the Rylai's, and fight around your carry. In this situation, for once, it's not going to be Zero diving into the backline. Have to expect the CC going to be about peeling for the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and we'll see whether they manage to get that one done. Of course, we have seen the pseudo protect the AD carry comp come through. YG weren't quite able to do it, but if any team is able to do a protect the AD carry comp, it is definitely Starhorn Royal Club and all of the members of this lineup. Of course, the switch over to Name, not going to change the fact that they were all about protecting Uzi earlier on.
And they also have multiple damage threats. Remember, that comp was, I believe, Xerath and Jinx in that lineup.
Yeah.
In this situation, we're talking about Ahri, who does a lot of consistent damage, has short cooldowns. Trundle will pick up up at least a Tiamat for a bit of wave control. Even Zero on the cannon's doing quite a lot of damage. It's a high damage lineup. Jarvan's no slouch either, so you don't have to be so pigeonholed in the late game. And Kog'Maw has a one-item power spike with just Trendy Force. He can poke. He's great at taking structures. He has those harassments where you just can't answer to that first Bio-Arcane Barrage proc that applies the Trendy Force. So a lot of power in general from this Starhorn Royal lineup.
Yeah, and we'll see whether this Zyra is going to get any work done, of course, because we haven't seen much Zyra very recently. And, of course, into the cannon, another relatively new pickup there in the bottom lane. And we'll just have to see how these lanes shake out, because if Sivir can control especially the minion wave, then Kog'Maw getting pushed in is going to have to use a lot of those abilities on the creep wave.
And how they use, specifically the Zyra ultimate, will be very interesting to me. Do they use it preeminently to stop the dive? Do they just use it to peel for the Sivir, who's probably going to be fighting with the Vladimir, you have to think, towards the front lines? Definitely not going to be necessarily peeling for a Sivir in a fight. You expect a 5-man dive, but diving onto the cannon, not always the best choice.
No, not always the best choice. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get onto the Rift and see how it goes. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for Starhorn Royal Club and YG. Potentially the final game here as Starhorn Royal Club do have a 2-game lead. YG looking to stay in this one with a victory here. And already Zero is being a nuisance there on the bottom side, and so is Yancer here towards the top.
And we started in quite late looking for a lane swap. We do have a lane swap initiated by Young Glory, so opting away from the 2v2. I guess respecting the cannon support and thinking maybe they're level 1. Not a lot of lane pressure coming through from the Zyra.
Could it be a respect of the sort of range advantage here as well, potentially from the Kog'Maw?
I mean, it could also just be lane swapping because Maokai's much stronger in an eventual 1v2 than the Trundle, who, of course, as a melee champion, will struggle in a 1v2 situation. But with the jungle follow, Trundle's actually pretty sustainable. You can start the Doran Blade, and with the Bite Q, you can actually jungle quite fast. So it's actually a peculiar lane swap to me in general. And the question is, when do you swap back? Is it for dragon control? Is it for a certain item timing? Is it just BF sword? Because you feel like the moment Phage comes through, especially for the Kog'Maw, trades just get more and more difficult for the 500 range Sivir. Yeah, not to mention the Sheen, as you're already talking about, just does massive things for creating that burst with the Bio-Arcane Barrage. But Chushui, we'll see how it goes. Name here in the bottom. They are both freezing out these waves as well. Not something a Sivir generally wants to do. You want to be mowing down these minions, but not wanting to give any top laners any opportunities in this one. And it is going to be a potential 4-man push here on the top side of the map, and might even be sort of a utilization of the Sivir ability to push out these creep waves to get this fast push on. I mean, to me, the curious thing about the lane swap being initiated by Young Glory is that a lot of the scaling advantages are with Starhorn Royal Club. Kog'Maw will get to the point where he's able to very favorably trade with Sivir. Trundle will eventually pick up a Tiamat and actually have some lane control and even kill pressure from level 6, but there's the engage. Yeah, Flash Twisted Advance to come through here, and that is going to be the flash from Korn, but not going to find too much more from it there, as it is just going to be flashes traded from the solo laners. I mean, the jungle follow, that's the one spot where Young Glory did have a benefit when they went for this Maokai jungle follow, but already the flash expended for no result. Very situational reason to set up a lane swap and what was at least a decent, if not favorable, lane matchup. Yeah, it wasn't going too badly, and Trundle, you have to think, doesn't do too badly in these situations, considering the fact that that passive, the King's Tribute, has been buffed just a little bit with the range. So even if he's getting zoned away, he's getting a lot of his health back here, as Vileplume is going to come through, but not going to do too much. I mean, the surprise to me is that when you engineer a lane swap, there's usually something you're looking for, whether it's stealing away a buff, whether it's looking for strong jungle follow ganks, whether it's looking for item timings before you swap back to 2v2. Because, of course, as a red side team, swapping to the top lane gives away dragon control to some degree. Now that they've sent supports over, there's less dragon control for the Starhorn Royal Club side, but still, Jarvan and Kog'Maw can power down this dragon. I don't feel like these matchups get any better for Young Glory as this game goes on. I think their power spikes were a little bit earlier. So, again, just surprised to see the lane swap. Yeah, Korn going to head back to base here, pick up some more mana. Doesn't want to stick around with the lane pushed without any ability to defend himself. Nice couple of plants going to come through here, and Zero going to take a bit of damage from those. But
He's just going to tank up this wave just for a little bit, as Royal Club definitely have this wave pushing out now, as Insect looking to try and make his presence known towards this top side of the map. Zyra, of course, very, very gankable. Beautiful pillar placement as well as Yancer. He's going to get knocked up and destroyed for first blood. Zero picks it up on his counterpart, and Prophet a little bit late with the teleport.
Yeah, Yancer had already used his flash. It was sitting duck to the initiation from Jarvan. The teleport for no gain whatsoever. In fact, it's going to mean the lane is pushed up by Name. This lane swap is working in multiple ways against Young Glory.
Yeah, and as the team that instigated it, definitely not going to be working out. And is that a sign of sort of just a less experienced team here versus the veterans in Starhorn Royal Club knowing exactly how to play out these different situations?
I mean, that's the only assumption I can draw, is that you need some win condition, some reason to go for a lane swap. If they had got that successful gank in mid, that might have gone part way to justifying it. But just for the fact that Trundle going to pick up a Tiamat quite unhindered. In fact, look at this CS advantage, 30-8, because he's had that support from the duo. Just means they picked up a lot more gold, not even factoring in the first blood in the early game. The swap will eventually come through just to start to get dragon control. We will eventually see Siva and Yancer on this Zyra move into the bottom lane, but the item time is just going to get better and better for Name when it comes to dueling. Has the Phage already. Going to get better when he has the Sheen. Dragon control, that's the one thing they can look for with this swap back down bottom, but it's the minimum they're going to get for this lane swap.
But, I mean, they do have the teleport available here. Kohler can get down. Of course, not going to be broken out there by Siva. They'll have a man advantage, but even with the ward, it's going to be Starhorn Royal Club giving up this first dragon.
Insects in vision. They go for the cheeky steal. Don't get it.
Yeah, not going to be happening just there. Sounded like a flash went down, but there wasn't one. That is going to be first dragon. They're locked down by YG.
Where does it get it better for YG? You could be a very optimistic man, say in the late game, probably take Vlad over Ari just for consistent AoE damage, probably take Sejuani over Jarvan, but in the other lanes, definitely I give the advantage to Starhorn Royal Club, and this is a Kog'Maw comp. Maybe not a Juggermaw, but still a more standard protect the Kog'Maw comp with a lot of disengaged CC coming through, and they're opting into a late game. Hell, even if they're just delaying the early game, it's going to be a quick Trinity Force in a fairly quiet laning phase for Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and we've spoken about this so many times as well. Kog'Maw doesn't suffer too much. He doesn't have that massive power trophy. Does sort of at the beginning of the game, so now sitting on just a Phage, things aren't looking as great, but as soon as even just Phage Sheen, he's a force to be reckoned with, and that Trinity Force is massive.
I mean, Kog'Maw's very early laning phase, pre-6, isn't the strongest, but with Phage, and importantly, when he gets access to Living Artillery, his burst trades, you just can't look to burst trade with a Kog'Maw because he activates the W, has more range than you, then hits the Living Artillery, then backs away, has the Rage passive from the Phage, and you just don't have the range here to deal with that unless you're maybe even just a Caitlyn pre-level 9 when Kog'Maw starts outranging even the Caitlyn. So the burst trades, very strong for Name, getting, 300 health, chipping away every 16 seconds when that Bioarcane Barrage is available. You can't look to trade with that, and it only gets worse with items, as you've mentioned. So, I mean, opting away from a 2v2 and then eventually swapping back into a 2v2 where Kog'Maw's starting to hit those levels and items, that's the part I don't understand from Young Glory.
Yeah, I don't quite get it either, but we'll see whether it makes itself known as this game progresses. You can see already, actually, Chushway not actually heading back to base at all. Does have the CS advantage here by just sitting on that Doran's Blade and relentlessly pushing. He's going to be able to get this wave to hit the turret as well as Kohler. Might actually just teleport back here. Of course, no dragon to be worried about here as he's going to finish the Tiamat actually outright, and they're going to swap back the lanes.
I mean, Tiamat, now this is the point. We mentioned this. The early item timing to make this Trundle relevant is the Tiamat, because finally he has range pushing advantage against Maokai. Maokai has the Arcane Smash on a very short cooldown, can even snipe away minions with the Sapling Toss, the E, whereas no wave clear whatsoever from Trundle. An excellent tank. Good CC.
Oh, there's a Glacial Prison to come down though. Name forced to use that flash. He's gone down very, very low, but he might just survive this one. Everything's thrown at him, and he's still okay. And the health from the Phage, you can see right there, demonstrating that it's pretty handy.
But amazingly keeps the heal available as well. Did not use that preeminently just in case there was a turret dive. Zero takes a huge burst.
Yeah, there's the Ignite down on him as well. The last planned auto attack, and Name heals him back up. That's going to let him survive there as Living Artillery comes through. Insect looking for a Cataclysm as the heal comes down just for the speed up. Royal Club are going to pressure YG away from this lane, but not pick up any kills.
And a tutorial on how to use your summoner spells as an AD carry. Both Name and Deft from EDG are some of the best AD carries in the world at just holding on to those summoners. Don't use them because you feel like you have to. Use them when you really need to. And he saves his support just through sheer stubbornness of holding on to that heal.
Yeah, really beautiful stuff. Insect just going to pay a visit to this mid lane, sending a bit of a message as Korn seems completely out of mana every time we look at him.
This CS advantage is disgusting.
Oh, speaking of disgusting, Yansu's going to fall down. Does have the passive available. Name looking to just pick up some extra CS from the plants, and he went for it. Didn't quite find it. Hemo Plague there in the mid lane. Oh my goodness, Korn's going to die as Fly's going to fall down as well. Insect picks up that kill as Illusion hanging out here at the same time. Zero is in the mid lane for some odd reason, but his counterpart in the top lane is actually dead.
Korn actually almost fell down, but crucially the dangerous game got him a bit more health. It was a line ball. I believe it was only overkill by about 5 damage. So it was smart of him to ensure that he got kill credit and just move away, ensure that he wasn't taking any minions, but fell down. So a trade kill with multiple resources used by Starhorn Royal Club. Credit to Fly for at least picking up the 1-for-1.
Yeah, Fly using that Hemo Plague beautifully there right at the beginning of that one, but
Trundle should be
fell down.
30 CS behind a Maokai. Maokai has excellent jungle follow, excellent 1v2, but so expertly was Name at denying the Maokai in early, and Trundle's picked up CC after CS after CS. As Jansen's getting soloed by Zero.
Yeah, going for the solo as Name's just going to happily pick up that one. Does have not the Sheen just yet. Actually, it's just the... Oh my goodness, Zero.
There's some manners coming through
from manners, the classic Zero maneuver. We've spoken about him having a lot of fun on this cannon. I mean, might be a little bit too much fun now, Zero.
Korn has hit 4 out of 4
many
on his charms. This guy, his Ahri has been one of his most impressive champions this season. When he moves away from wave clear, away from the Orianas and Lux, I've been very impressed by his Ahri in particular.
Actually, oh.
And this is just that's the reality of the lane matchup. And remember, they moved away from this lane matchup before the Living Artillery was available. Now that it's there, and they're just kind of smarting about the fact that these trades going definitely in the advantage of Kog'Maw.
Yeah, that is going to be 5 out of 5 here as Fly actually does manage to bait out the ultimate here as the pull comes through. Name still clearing out some creeps up the top, and Orbit Deception doesn't land. Fly with some nice footwork.
Doesn't have any mana to throw out another charm. Hema Play critically not available. Looked like he was positioning for a turret dive. Without Hema Play, that's probably too aggressive there, Fly.
Yeah, very, very close though, and Korn now with the ult on cooldown. But won't be for too much longer as that blue buff now picked up. Does have the 40% cooldown reduction on top of the Morellonomicon, of course, giving him that extra 20%. So is going to be A-OK. Going to get that mana back as well as Fly's going to head back to base. Does have a considerable CS advantage here against the Ahri. I mean,
that's, again, the CS advantage is working for him, but it's the other lanes where the problems occur. Slight CS advantage for Sivir over the Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw going to more effectively use that gold, especially at the start of the game, where his one-item power spike is going to be huge. It's the top lane, though, almost doubling the CS on Trundle. He's been doing some jungling. He's had the team out for a long time, sitting on a huge amount of gold, close to 2,000. Second Dragon going to be definitely contested by Starhorn.
Yeah, Second Dragon. Not necessarily contested. It's going to be started up here as everyone's down. Prophet looking to come in. That's actually Charm going to land. Korn's actually going to take out Yansa right at the beginning of this one as Zero's going to die as well. The trade of the supports as Prophet not quite tanky enough at this stage. An Illusion just going to get torn apart. Name free hitting on the backside and a double kill for Cola. And Chushui wasn't even there.
But have you ever seen a fight where Trundle is doing more at 14 minutes than a Maokai? Prophet basically instantly died. As you mentioned, Chushui not at the fight. He was actually on the top side of the map. Very awkward positioning around Dragon, and you have to question the Dragon contest call when the AD carry wasn't grouped.
Yeah, and Prophet only had a Catalyst as well. I mean, he looks like a pseudo AP carry Maokai.
We've seen Maokai's fighting with a Catalyst, with, say, a Glacial Shroud at this point, and the kit just gives you so much. Vengeful, Maelstrom, all the consistent CC. It was just a Tiamat from Trundle, but popping that on whoever the tankiest member was, to be honest, everyone's about even when it comes to resist and fighting. He was just doing huge damage in the fight. He's not even worried about building tankers. Now it's the Ravenous Hydra completed by Cola.
Yeah, he went back, completed the Ravenous Hydra and Boots too at the same time. Those Mercury's Treads now going to stop Illusion's ultimate from doing too much lockdown. Of course, Prophet is bevy of CC that he has. Not going to be affecting him as much as well. And this Trundle going to be a real problem moving forward as Korn did manage to pick up an extra kill in that fight at the same time, so all of Starhorn Royal Club really starting to level up in this one. But Name has to be the one that we're talking about here, hasn't even gone back yet, and he must be sitting on a massive chunk of change.
About 1650, working towards the Trinity Force. Still needs a little bit more gold to complete that, about 800 gold to finish that item. Young Glory are looking for whatever they can in this situation. They're probably going to take out this outer turret, but it's only one answering turret, 2 already down, and as you can see on your minimap, Name and a Zero pushing aggressively to get this 3rd outer turret.
Yeah, and it seems like the sort of story here as well. Fly has had a pretty decent day here, you have to say. His Karthus was fantastic. Once Starhorn Royal Club managed to deal with him, the rest of the issue was dealt with, you have to think. But now, I mean, he's winning his lane, yes, but the rest of the map is going firmly in favor of Royal Club, as you mentioned previously. I mean,
Chu Shui versus Name has probably been the big imbalanced matchup between these two teams. Name in particular, first game on Urgot, went full Urgot on the Jinx. Jinx couldn't do anything in that matchup. That's just a great matchup for Name, so you can't draw too much from that. Chu Shui's positioning on Graves when he got going in the last game, it was a difficult game to position against the Karthus, against all the initiation CC from the cannon as well. So against the cannon and all the initiation CC. So he got caught a couple too many times, but that's on a short range carry in Graves. He stays short range, but he's been consistently out-rotated this game. And the lane swap, I don't know who initiated that one, but it's made his life even harder in this game.
It certainly hasn't been helping him, and the Sivir hasn't really worked. Of course, the last Dragon fight wasn't even present, as another plan is going to be set up by Yancer, and Insect going to be spotted. He was looking to try and pick something up.
There's the Trinity Force.
Oh my goodness, the Cogmore now spiking on this map. Illusion looking to try and put some pressure down, as it's a decent flag and drag. Going to get him out of the way. Grasping Root's not going to work. Oh my goodness, actually on the hunt has been popped here. Stranglethorn's going to try and do some work as Yancer. He's trapped in there. This Zyra is most definitely going to fall down. Zero picks up that kill for himself as Cola's looking for more prey on this map. There's no top outer turret. That's just a free kill for a teleport.
Yeah, but swapping a teleport for just one pick and no objectives being taken down is just fine if you're Young Glory and trying to lose the minimum. Losing the minimum hasn't worked 2 games in a row, but that's all they're relegated to in this game, and the push will continue in mid.
Yeah, looking to at least clear out these minions. Fly going to head back to base by the looks of things, and bottom lane seems to be the focus. Prophet, of course, does have teleport available. He can head back to base and then be wherever he needs to be, but he's shoved out this wave quite nicely and is caught up in CS. That is definitely a big deal.
I mean, it's a free farm Cogmore. We've seen plenty of times this season that is not the ideal place to be in if you're YG. Only really Vladimir to show for late game. Perhaps Vladimir into the Glacial Prison. Behemoth playing into Glacial Prison might be a relevant statistic in the late game, but they don't have the item timing to necessarily force that. No Zhonya's completed on Vlad to really allow him to dive the backline, and they're just going to get poked out, to be honest, by this Cogmore, and to some degree the Ahri.
Yeah, and I guess it looks like sort of the only ideal situation here is if they get the Glacial Prison onto Name. The Hemo Plague's there as well with a Stranglethorns on top of it.
Not enough damage, though, I don't think, to take down the Cogmore. Has the Phage for a little bit extra health. Already has sustain from a very early Vampiric Scepter. There's not going to be any real peel coming through. Definitely not going to be any Mikhail's coming through from Zero. So maybe that's their only hope, is the lockup, because there's no disengage coming through from Starhorn Royal Club.
Yep, Zero has started off this blue buff. He's stolen away. There's a nice Glacial Prison there from Illusion, and a lot of extra damage from Yancer there in the backline as the Ricochet's going across this fight. Korn actually flashes forward. Fly! He dodges out of the way of the Orbit Deception. It's a double kill here for Chu Shui, and Prophet going to fall down. Name very low on the backside as Zero picks up Prophet as he's trying to escape. Name sort of soloing out these members. Is Illusion going to fall down? Zero is going massive in this fight as Name just hangs out on the backside. Yancer gets tagged by a living artillery. Name picks up the kill. And Yuzhui, oh my goodness, the range on this Cogmore is massive. Nice spell shield, but doesn't quite know that there's a ward in there.
And there's an awkward plot twist to this one. This was a 4v5 fight, Atlas. Cola was up top the whole time, just split push. They won 4v5. The range from Cogmore, just no one can deal with it.
Yeah, Name was just kiting around that fight the whole time. Of course, has the Trinity Force, so much extra movement speed, and Fly, I guess, is doing a lot of damage here to Cola, who, of course, only has the boots for the magic resist.
There's only one man doing damage. There's only one carry on this Starhorn Royal Club team, and it's Zero. 5-1 and 5. Goes back, finishing that Haunting Guys, building plenty more AP. He's the real carry. He's found his champion. He's found his calling. No more of this silly Janna play. It's all about the cannon.
Yeah, and, you know, he can argue, cannon, lots of disengage, don't worry about it, I got the Slicing Maelstrom, hasn't used it for disengage.
I mean, Name could really use a Mikhail's, but that's not going to be what Zero's building.
No, of course, cannon doesn't want any mana regen.
That's true.
So it's
not,
just
not a viable item, I understand.
It's not viable. It's just not how that one's going to work out, and of course, Insect should be building it. Have you seen Snake play? They build Mikhail's on their jungler at least once in the LPL. But it is going to be the Baron falling down. Illusion tries to steal it, but unable to, as Jarvan going to be able to finish off that kill as Insect locks that one down. YG now, only 4 men available, are going to have to slink back towards their base.
The Star World Cup can't afford to fall into too many lazy plays. Just right there, Illusion had a 50-50 smite in a game where they're 9,000 gold behind. Just because Star World Cup did no semblance of sweeping or warding behind the Baron buff. That's just poor from Star Royal Cup. That's not going to be punished in this series, you'd have to think. Should be a 3-0 to Starhorn Royal Cup. But going into a potential semi-final for their LPL life against the winner of the series tomorrow, Gamti versus Legend Dragon, I believe, you just can't afford to play quite that sloppily if you want to take down these games.
No, not going to be happening as Name clearing out this bottom side as well. But 3-0 and 7, when you've got a Kog'Maw that is that incredibly strong, and things are definitely going well.
I mean, look, everything's going well for Starhorn Royal Cup. They've hit their item timings. There's the Blade of the Ruined King, a crucial pickup for Kog'Maw because it means that they're almost exclusively magic damage Kog'Maw previous to that purchase. Now is doing so much physical damage as well. Makes it so hard to itemize against the Kog'Maw. Item timings for everyone, just great. Look at this Zero build. He's actually got the Void Staff on top of the Haunting guys. He's the one doing his best Pantheon impression with double magic penetration in this case instead of double armor penetration we're used to.
On the hunt's been popped, but Korn probably going to get donated that kill, and he is, in fact, Zero and Insect just letting him have it. Beautiful stuff. Friendly play here from the Starhorn Royal Club lineup, and Civitas finding herself in completely the wrong position.
And I hope whatever Chushui was hunting for is in the fountain, because that's where he's going to be for the rememberable future.
Yeah, Cataclysm actually here on the answer as well. Does manage to lock down Insect for a little bit, as well as Fly trying to get the extra damage down. Insect with a cute flash over the wall is going to get him to safety, but he doesn't quite find the kill on the answer.
I mean, Trundle is just so powerful. Went back and bought a casual, straight-up Frozen Heart. I mean, that doesn't give you much magic resist against a Maokai, but someone should tell him Maokai's there.
Yeah, it is a very good source of cooldown reduction, though, and those chomps are going to be coming through thick and fast from Kola, able to reset those auto attacks. Actually, he's probably one of the champions that gets one of the highest DPS upgrades from cooldown reduction, but that's going to be the Glacial Prison coming down here as well as Illusion, trying to pick something up. Fly taking a lot of damage as he gets in on this one. Hemoplague not able to net any kills as Orbit Deception onto Prophet does far more damage than it should onto a tanky member. Another charm lands. Prophet going to die to corners. Fly is going to get taken down very low. Korn looking to try and transition into something as the inner turret falls down. Beautiful grasping roots there for some disengage from Yancer, and the rest of the YG members trying to make it back to their fountain. Kola just sets up a bit of a cone.
Remember, Young Glory engages Glacial Prison into Hemoplague, but they lose the fight. They lose their inhibitor from the aggression. No good decisions left for Young Glory. That's very reminiscent of Game 1, where their hand was definitely forced by the amazing play of Name. And Name on form again here. Again, this is not the playoffs he was shooting for. It definitely wasn't the promotion tournament that he wanted to star in. But Starhorn World Cup turning on the style in this best of 5.
Yeah, and they have to try and have a series of the LPL, a season of the LPL split with Name on the side permanently, and that is going to be only the next split if they're looking forward, so they have to be giving everything here to this game in order to try and stay in, and YG do seem to be up against the ropes at this stage of the game, and now behind 13,000 gold. I hadn't glanced up there, but when you've got 7 turrets to 1, 2 dragons to 1 as well, 16 kills to 5. Starhorn Royal Club really rolling over this one.
And the big issue is that both Vladimir and Siva are short-range carries. They need to get into the backline, they need to fight with their tanks. If you do that, we're talking about such a high damage lineup. Ironically, the only supportive champion is Insect on this Lee Sin, who has the locker completed, because big AP at purchases for both Korn and Zero. I mean, Zero's doing a lot of damage if he dives in the backline with the Void Staff being completed. Trundle's already shown that his consistent damage, as you mentioned, the chomp on shut is such a short cooldown. No one can deal with him either. And Kog'Maw's mowing people down in the backline. So there's just nowhere good for YG to fight a fight. They can't skirmish. They can't 5v5 team fight. They can maybe get a pick, but they tried a pick last time and lost the fight and their inhibitor. No decisions left. Should mean Starhorn Royal Club sewing up this victory in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, Kohler able to take down the inhibitor turret in the top lane as Fly's chasing him out there as well. Insec actually going to cataclysm his way in. Janssen just going to explode in the back of that fight as Prophet now comes through with the Righteous Glory. Illusion going to go down at the same time. Prophet trying to get some work done. Does manage to pick up Con at least, as this Kog'Maw is just too big. You can see still at about full health as Fly might be now the benefactor of his damage. Another cone comes through as Fly tries to pull out of the way. It's
still Vladimir.
Yep, still being Vlad, and flashes out of the way of that one. So he's going to make it back to the fountain at least. Maybe as Name manages to pick up the kill, and Bioarcane Barrage pretty handy at trying to get the last few auto attacks in that fountain. The Nexus turret, the last remaining one going to fall, and Starhorn Royal Club, they progress forward with a dominating 3-0 victory over Young Glory.
There was only ever one team in this series, Atlas. Starhorn Royal Club in 3 different displays just blew away the Young Glory lineup. Invictus Gaming's sister team just couldn't hang with the big boys from the LPL, who again wanted to be playing in the latest series today, wanted to be playing in the playoffs, did not make it there. And all they can hope to do is just quickly re-qualify themselves for the LPL and keep all their members either healthy or eligible to play. Because it was outside factors that really took away from a Starhorn Royal Club team. Now, don't get me wrong. They didn't have the most impressive performances when they had this 5-man lineup going, but they had so much working against them in terms of splitting scrim time, in terms of injuries and outside factors. They could never play themselves into form. Look at Invictus Gaming, 6-0 into 0-6, relatively going up and down. Seesaw season. This seesaw season for Starhorn Royal Club team was all about out-of-game factors, so that's one thing they need to address if they do re-qualify for Summer.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether they do. Of course, there is still a few more steps remaining. But with that 3-0 victory, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to be straight into the playoffs here for the LPL. Snake are going to be taking on King in 2 hours' time at about 7 p.m. So that is when you're going to have to be coming back, of course. What a brilliant performance by Starhorn Royal Club, really showing that they deserve to be in the LPL. YG unable to quite do too much there, as we are going to have a slight replay.
Yeah, so good to get a replay. And Starhorn Royal Club, they had a significant advantage already at this point. You can see it's already 9-3 and 5,000 gold lead coming through. But we'll roll the tape. And then again, we're just going to see a big damage explosion coming through is all I can expect in this situation. Another fight that Young Glory have initiated, but look at the positioning. Siva and Sejuani in the front line. Vladimir trying to 1v1 the Ahri. It actually went just fine for the Vladimir in general. But I believe the fight continues. This is all about Name and Zero fighting as a duo. This is 2v5 to some degree at this point. So again, kiting away. Name kites back. They're getting the kills. I mean, Zero's doing massive damage. He has to be respected as a threat. But this was effectively a 2v5. Remember, Trundle never grouped for this fight. 2 members fall down early. But this is what Kog'Maw can do when you hit the Trinity Force power timing. Zero, you can see why they prioritized the cannon, because the offensive and just the consistent CC was relevant the whole fight. And just an incredible bit of play from the Starhorn Royal Club duo. We knew, even on paper, we saw Zero at the World Championships last season with Uzi and said, okay, this guy, excellent support, very good at disengage. We were waiting for Name to come into the lineup because we're like, finally a carry to really make use of Zero's power spikes. And it was hit or miss, and they never really got to play themselves into form. But next season, that's something to look for Starhorn Royal Club.
Well, they're definitely looking for it, as ladies and gentlemen, it is a 3-0 victory here for Starhorn Royal Club against Young Glory. Come back at about 7 p.m. in about 2 hours' time for King versus Snake, a massive playoff game, and you do not want to miss it, guys. Don't go too far from your monitors.